Julie.
All right, good afternoon, Town ARB. We're live. You're being recorded. You guys are ready to start whenever.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Town of East Hampton Architectural Review Board meeting of March 23rd, 2023. My name is Kathleen Cunningham. It's my privilege to chair this organization. I regret that I can't be at Town Hall this afternoon. I had some surgery recently and it's causing me to need to stay close to home. As has been my habit, I'm going to read a little bit about assurance of harmony, which is something that the town code specifically charges the Architectural Review Board with monitoring.
Before you do that, could I just say that there is a quorum of members physically present here at Town Hall?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so there is a quorum, and pursuant to our legislation, you are participating remotely because of illness.
Well, yes, illness.
Or yes.
Because of disability at this point, but not illness, I'm happy to report. Anyway, so back to assurance of harmony. The review board is charged with exercising sound judgment and with the rejection of plans which, in its opinion, based on study and advice, are not of harmonious character because of proposed style, scale, materials, mass, line, color, detail, or placement upon the property of proposed buildings or structures, or in relation to the spaces between buildings or the natural character of the landscape, or because of the lack of provision for balance between the proposed location and design of structures and adjacent open areas or adjacent existing structures, whether on or off the lot or site in question. I read that one tonight, especially because it's very applicable. It's applicable to all our applications, but particularly so to agricultural overlay. And we have two of those tonight, and they're relatively complicated. So with that, I'll start the meeting. I want to thank everybody for all their hard work. It's a very hardworking board and hardworking planning department, and I appreciate everyone's help. I would like to take a motion to approve the minutes of March 9th, 2023.
So move.
I have a second, please.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so passed and carried. Okay, we're up to our first application. I'm not sure if this, Julie, did the posted agenda match what's on tonight, what's been here tonight?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So it's, we're going to be having comments to planning, Suffolk for Sun and Sound in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-5-1-12. Frank, this is yours.
Okay. Could you bring up the photos, please, in the architectural drawings? Yeah, in the survey. So this is an application for a modification to the Sun and Sound Hotel at 22 Soundview Drive in Montauk. This hotel, just off the intersection of Soundview Drive and Westlake Drive, is one of 5 single and 2-story hotels near the intersection. This hotel on the water is between another hotel to the east and a residence to the west. The applicant is requesting permission to modify a section of the building at the southeast corner that is currently a roofed habitable space or over a drive-through carport. The applicant would like to rebuild this area over the carport, creating 281 square feet of habitable space over the carport, and expand north with an uncovered 177 square foot wooden deck over the carport. Currently, as seen in the photos from the street, the roof line goes from the peak. The roof line that you're looking at, sorry, goes from the peak down to just above where the carport roof and the pitched roof meet there in the corner. The proposed work. Can you go to the elevation, Eric? Sorry. Can you go to the architectural drawing of the survey? There you go. The proposed work would put in a new, more shallow roof from the peak down to several feet above the floor at the east. In other words, the roof line at the easternmost part of the roof, which is to the right of the elevation there, would be raised substantially to the sky plane pyramid limit to create volume for a new bedroom, but the peak of the roof remains unchanged. The proposed work would also retreat. And can you go to the survey on this part? The proposed work would also just slightly would also retreat just slightly from the east. Zoom in a little bit there, even more. Retreats just slightly from the east, which faces the neighboring hotel. Facing the street side, there will also be some minor retreat. The short roof just above the carport, you go back to the photos, sorry about making you jump around, I'll make this easier to explain. Okay. Facing the street, the short roof there just above the carport would be cut back to stop where the carport starts. The trellis between the carport and the drive to the east of the hotel also appears that it would be removed. As seen from the street, the roof lines do not appear symmetrical in elevation. I'd be curious to know what the proposed roof line pitch is compared to the opposite roof to the west. The neighborhood most likely to be impacted by this change is the one to the east. You can go through the photos now. Also a hotel. Given the lack of screening between these properties and that rooms face each other across the lot line, it does not seem to me that this would be detrimental. That's so overall, I think the proposed modification here is acceptable. That said, there are a couple of things I question on the application. First, there are no existing elevations or outline of the existing roof line in the elevations for us to see the changes. The second is that the deck extending north is cantilevered to the corner. You can see that in the architectural elevations we can go to later. To me, that appears the deck isn't quite grounded like the rest of the proposed structure, but I'm willing to live with it. Next elevation, next page. So that's the view from the water side, the top, and then from the neighboring property there, you can see where the deck to the right kind of cantilevers out. With
So the deck would face the ocean?
the deck faces the ocean. It's on the back side of the
That new addition here.
it's on the back side of the, it's back on the other side of the street. You're not going to see it from the street.
Yeah.
I think one of the photos shows that fairly
Yeah.
well. Now,
Yeah. So if you can imagine the roof line there being moved up maybe 4 or 5 feet. So it's not as steep a pitch. And then there's a deck cantilevered off the corner there. I'm not sure. Go back one photo. Minor thing I'm sure they'll resolve is the header on that window, but I don't think it's a big deal. And then let's go to the go back one elevation drawing. Okay, so zoom into the carport. There you go. So you see how that low roof that's covering the first floor, that gets cut back. If you see in the photo, that extends all the way to the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little awkward, but I'm willing to live with it.
And you think this window will remain
The
clear from the elevations?
So the first floor windows appear to be unchanged. The second floor, they're adding a window. So it's not terribly clear from the elevation, like what is existing and proposed, because no existing elevations are provided. Bear in mind to the board, we're not voting on this today, so perhaps that's something that we can request from the applicant.
So you'd be sitting on this new deck and there would be cars driving underneath you?
Yes, I'm just not sure.
I mean, from the plans, it looks like they want to add some sort of guest suite up there.
Yeah.
I think Tara Brick is here for the applicant. If
Okay.
Tara.
Well, when Frank is done with his evaluation, we'll ask Tara.
done.
to speak. Yeah, okay,
I'm
great.
done.
Tara, would you illuminate us, please?
Wizard of Oz.
Tara Burke here from Lighthouse Land Planning on behalf of the owners of Sun and Sound. This is the manager's quarters. And so they're looking to increase the size of the manager's quarters. We all know there's a bit of a housing crisis happening. So this is an attempt to make this just a more livable space. And thank you for that very detailed analysis. everything was on point. This was actually in front of the planning board already in 2013. And then in 2016, it just became inactive. So we discussed with the planning department and they said, submit a new application. We figured we'd get it to you right away for comments. So this way the planning board could move forward accordingly. The first time it was submitted, there were two variances that we needed. One was this property is pre-existing, non-conforming over lot coverage. And I think you touched on the fact that we're cutting it back from the property line because it actually is about, I think it's 12, 13 feet from the property line where you're meant to have 15. So this new proposal, we're cutting it back to meet the 15 feet. And we are using that existing roof of the carport for the addition and the deck, so this doesn't change coverage calculations. So that's why, we've got the cars going underneath. They use that. That's where the manager usually parks. And we can certainly provide existing elevations for the next go around, clarify the roof in the front.
I mean, I understand it, but for the other board members might benefit from it.
No, it would help. I think that would help. Good suggestion.
Just for record.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
And actually it could be done on the existing or as the proposed elevations, just dashed in.
Yep.
Like dash in the existing roof line.
Yeah, I understand. No problem. You can.
That makes it so much
and just
easier,
call out.
especially if it's in a different color too. That way we can see what's existing and what's proposed, right?
Yeah, and just call out, have the architect call out what's proposed here. Like it's not saying which windows are, I'm assuming only the right window up there.
Yeah, that's correct. But I'll have that
but
clarified.
Just highlight it.
I think it's important here that it's manager housing. If this was just another hotel room that they were going to rent, I'd probably be less favorably inclined. But if it's going to provide housing for someone who works there, I have no problem with it.
We actually, back in 2013, we went to the chief building inspector for determination to make sure that it wasn't an expansion of a pre-existing use. And because it's the manager's quarters that's expanding it, it's all permitted.
Okay. Anybody else have comments on the board?
No, I don't have anything to add.
So let me just look at this. So are there bollards there now? No, there would be new bollards put in. So there are no bollards now. I guess you could just.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to address safety for certain.
Curious about the sign too, if you have a building permit for the sign.
I don't know, but I can look into that. And if not, we can.
That would be good because I think that came before us. I'm not sure that we approved that.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that was erected without our approval. Is there anything else, Frank, or?
That's it. It's pretty, I think it's pretty straightforward.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else for Tara or want to make any other comments? We'll be writing a letter and sending it to planning board that'll, encompass the discussions that we've had today. And then they can act on it with site plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Tara.
much.
Okay. All right. Next up is number 2, DAPL LLC Bonfire Coffee House, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-171-2-6. Is the applicant or an agent present to discuss this?
Is it Ocean Graphics?
Is Ocean Graphics here?
Graphics.
That doesn't look like Ocean Graphics is here, Chair.
All right, let's skip on to the next one, and then maybe we'll go back.
Kathy, this was pretty straightforward, though. I mean, it's simple. Oh, we have to have a rep? Okay.
I think in this instance, because we're actually approving the design, if it was just something administrative, Chip, I would agree with you. We could just vote on it. But I think we're approving, I can't speak for the board. We may not approve that design, but that's what we're meant to be. And Frank, I meant to say thank you so much for that really comprehensive overview. It was really helpful to me, especially. I'm sure everybody else was grateful for it too. So we'll jump on to Markov, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-172-7-20.2, 39 Gansett Lane. We're just going to be voting on this. This was Diane Benson's application, and the board was unanimously opposed to the design that was presented at the last meeting. But we never took a formal vote on it, and David will counsel us.
Yeah, there was then subsequent to that meeting litigation and Article 78 proceeding that was filed against the town. But when we ordered the transcripts, it was we realized that there was never actually a formal vote held on it. So for purposes of just clarity, counsel Brian Lester and myself agreed that it would be better to have the board formally vote on it and then resume the litigation. So that being said, Chair, I guess you could ask the board to vote.
Yeah, Diane, would you like to make a motion?
Well, only I would just like to remind everyone that this would have been the first gate on an otherwise totally ungated, beautifully treed lane of Amagansett that has no fences and no gates. And it's and with not very large property, so it's a totally harmonious neighborhood. And this would have been the first of imposing this artificiality on the neighborhood.
Well, thank you for that recap. Okay, so did you make a motion?
No.
Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion that we deny this application as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's unanimous. We voted that down officially now. Okay. Robert Foreman, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-488-3-38. This is mine. 26 South Elroy Avenue. I took some photographs. Is Joel there?
Yes,
Hi,
he is
Joel.
here, Kath.
Okay, great. How you doing, Joel?
Good, how are you?
Okay, thanks. All right, so this application, I must say, I don't usually get worked up about stuff, but this one got me worked up. It's on 26 South Elroy, so it's on Fort Pond. This is a picture of the house, obviously. It's a new home. And the application is for a sliding driveway gate. Now, this gate has already begun to be constructed. It is within the proper setbacks, but it's very large. The dimensions are, roughly 5 feet for the pillars, and just under it for the gate itself. It's an electronic gate, and it's massive. It's the mass of this on that property and on that street is pretty inharmonious to that neighborhood. You could just scroll through some of these photos if you would. I don't know who's doing it, if it's Eric. Yeah, so that's the 20 feet, and it shows you that already the pillar has been put in. You can keep going where that plywood is. Keep going, please. Keep going. Okay, there's some additional fencing in the front yard that's above 6 feet, which should be approved by this board. You can keep going and along the side yard. I don't know if these things have approvals. Keep going. So this has all been constructed. All they need to do is put the gate in. And I'm very surprised that this is not an approval. This is not seeking approval for a to be constructed gate. It's virtually as built, and I just find the mass and scale overwhelming. Keep going. This is a neighborhood that has this is wall. I don't know what the deal is with this wall, this retaining wall, and those trees. I'm not sure if that has approval. It's not relevant to this application, but it might be worth exploring. Keep going. Okay, this is the house across the street, and this is more the flavor of this neighborhood. These are small homes, really small homes. This home is out of character just by virtue of its size. And I think I have another picture of, so this is what the neighborhood looks like. The street is very narrow. it barely can contain two-way traffic. You know, when you go down there, if another car is coming, you kind of have to wait and make sure there's enough room to pass. I have friends that live on this street. I was just amazed to see this gate, this proposal. There are no other gates on this road, and there's no other fences that I can see. I think this hedge that you see to the right has some fencing behind it. It's a neighboring home, which is another really large house, but it's better screened from the road. But this, I find that this particular gate design, in terms of mass and scale, harmony with the neighborhood, everything on the list is just, it's off the hook. It's completely inappropriate to my mind. Sorry, Joel, to
That's okay.
swinging, but that's the way I feel.
I'm used to taking punches.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's not personal, but I just this is a huge gas. It's also going to move across the yard. It's not just the gate. It's gonna move. It's such overkill. I just can't imagine a circumstance where a gate of this size is needed. Okay.
Chair, I wanted to ask, you said that this was an application for a proposed driveway gate, whereas it is really nearly built.
It's already been built, so
So
I don't even know if we should even be entertaining it as a proposal, or if there's an as-built form that should be filled out or something. Isn't David, do you want to help me here?
I can address this if you'd like.
Well, I did talk to, what were you going to say? I would just briefly say that when I saw this, I talked to the town attorney, and he agreed that this should be charged, the fee should be paid for an as-built, because even if you were just to leave that in the ground now, for whatever reason, you would still need approval for the pillar.
I can address this as well, too. So Joel Halsey, on behalf of Lighthouse Land Planning, for the property owner, Robert Foreman. A gate on this property, 4 feet in height or less, and the posts 4 feet in height or less, would not require ARB approval.
Correct.
And we could build that. So that was an explanation that I gave to the property owner. They're going to put in a gate, whether it be a 5-foot high gate, what they want, or a 4-foot high gate, what they can do. So they started the work. Those pillars that you can see are steel pillars. They can be cut down to 4 feet easily enough. And there he would have his 4-foot high gate. So he started the work on the gate. If he doesn't get his 5-foot high gate, he can always cut off a foot, whereas he would not have been able to add a foot. That's why those pillars are there now.
Why did he start his work without any approval from us?
Because he knew he'd be able to get a 4-foot high gate.
So then,
That's essentially,
that seems a little bit.
That's ridiculous.
well, he's building, he's essentially building a 4-foot gate in the hopes that he can upsize to a 5-foot gate. I understand that.
Well, if the posts were 4 feet, yeah, but the posts aren't 4 feet.
But again, he can cut the gate, he can cut the post.
Why don't we build a 10-story house, and if we don't approve it, you cut it down to 2?
That wouldn't make sense, because it's much easier to cut 2 steel posts with a blowtorch rather than chopping it.
I guess our point is that we would expect a property owner to await approval before starting the building.
Yeah, I respect the process a little bit, it's just, and respect the neighborhood. This is, even a 4-foot gate is going to be very ugly.
You do have to respect the neighborhood, and unfortunately, if you do look to the neighborhood, you did show the house across the street, but if you look to the house that's being just constructed just to the west of here, it's a rather large house right on the street as well. The house constructed just to the east of here is a rather large house constructed on the street as well, too. So the neighborhood is changing. The properties across the street are much smaller properties, probably under 10,000 square foot properties. This is a 40,000 square foot property. So obviously you can't get a large house on a 10,000 square foot house property, where you can put a large house on a 40,000 square foot property. And as you know, these people are selling these properties for millions of dollars. They're not expecting to say the 1,000 square foot house that was on this property.
I don't have any issue with the house.
I'm getting some feedback about the character in the neighborhood and the house that's going on the property, how it's out of character with this neighborhood.
We weren't talking about that. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the fence. The fence is completely out of character. The fence and the gate itself is completely out of character with the neighborhood. There's no debating that. There are no other gates in the neighborhood, so it's out of character to have a gate, very much like the one we just voted down.
There's got to be a first gate everywhere. There's a first gate
Excuse me,
everywhere.
I'm
This could be.
talking. Excuse me, I'm talking. There's not a first gate everywhere. You know, Joel, this is like the camel nose under the tent. You know, this is exactly what this board is charged with doing, is governing this kind of rampant development. And it's the arrogance of applicants that, you know, assume a 5 or 6 foot gate. If I don't get that, I can get the 4 foot. I get it. I
Well,
get
let's
it.
try to rein in the comments to the code and
Yes,
not.
I am, but
not
I
malign
don't want
the
to have
intent of
this
the applicant,
argument
please.
with him. You know, it's not going to be a first gate everywhere. I mean, Jesus, you know, what's the point?
Fair. Let's,
Okay.
Yes, okay, we're
You
gonna,
know, I didn't come here to be, you know, just be belittled in front of the board here. I explained my situation to you.
yes, you did.
And yes, you don't want a 5 foot high gate. I give it into your purview to deny the
Fine,
5 foot high gate. He's
fine.
well within his rights to put in a 4
That
foot high
is
gate.
correct.
So yes, there will be a
Where?
first gate in the neighborhood.
Right, I understand.
You know, I'm getting attacked here for no reason. You know, I'm not being mean.
Not
Joel,
attacking
you were,
you.
you were the professional advising your client. You should have advised him what the ramifications were of doing it the way he's doing it.
I explained to him what.
Well, then you should have been more
Okay,
forceful.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. It puts us on the defensive when there's already something built, because we don't really have, you know, the tabula rasa to work with the applicant. There's an assumption there, and I get the practicality of it. I understand that. And I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just saying it gets everybody's back up a little bit when you come in with something that's already built. So, you know, I would recommend to you to ask him to put a 4 foot gate in.
I mean, that's,
you know,
it's going to be you
and
guys
I-
denying it. You guys will deny the 5 foot high gate and we will put in a 4 foot. I mean, that's.
Do
All
we,
right.
do we want to know what everyone else?
Yeah, let's.
I would like to hear what everyone else has to say as well.
I would be willing to entertain a 4 foot 3 inch or 4 foot 4 inch gate that's that has a high level of opacity,
Of transparency.
high level of transparency in the gate, more than what's showing now. To me, that's better than denying it.
Why is that, Frank?
Well, 'cause it gives
Then
us
we
a
know it's
chance
getting
to
built.
get some Opacity, yeah, it gives us a chance to get some opacity. It gives them a little more height, and it gives us a chance to have some input on the opacity, because it's over the permissible amount. That's a good suggestion. That's a really good suggestion.
So everybody gets some.
Compromise. Can we look at the design again, please?
Yeah. What is the opacity on this, Joel?
50%.
No, it's not.
Really? I don't think that's 50%.
Not from the
No,
drawing.
the gaps have to equal the board sizes for it to be 50%.
Don't. So who drew this?
Gap.
Yes,
No,
but
no,
they're
no.
not the size
The
of the
size of the
boards.
gap has to be the same size
I
as the board.
believe those gaps, so there's 4 inch board, I believe the gaps are 4 inches as well.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Rendered incorrectly.
Not the
then.
way it's rendered. It may be the intention, but it's not the way it's rendered. So we would need that to be.
At minimum, 50%.
Yeah, the minimum 50%.
the gap.
What was
Me?
it, 3.8?
The gap is 3.8. Am I right here?
Yeah, I can tell you looking
Yeah,
at
the
this.
slat is 4.6.
Sorry, my mistake.
It says right there. The slat is 4.6, the gap is 3.8. So, you know, it's not equal.
It's not 50%.
No, if it was equal, it'd be 50%. So why don't you ask your client if he'd be willing to consider, well, I guess you are already considering a 50% opacity, even though it wasn't drawn that way. I guess the Island Automatic Cafe or Gate here is, Gate is the agent that you hired to do this, install the gate. So that needs to be amended. But why don't you ask your client if they're willing to go, you know, put a 4 foot 3 gate in, as Frank suggested, and give us a design that is actually 50% opacity.
I believe they were considering the opening at the bottom as part of the 50%.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work. And I don't think that really opens at the bottom. I think
I also would not be comfortable with the mass and the girth of the pillars. I'd want something more slender.
Yeah, is there no way
Material?
to is there no way to just do a regular gate? You know, instead of having this long, they wouldn't be interested in just I mean, it'd be less expensive and it would do the trick instead of having this moving thing.
Well, they've already got the mechanism in, Kathy, so I think to change that up is,
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
What
Yeah.
is the what is the
again, the reason
material?
being why we would want you to not build it before you came before us.
What is the material of the posts?
Right now it's steel. I don't know what they're,
Well, right now it's just these two little steel framing columns,
Yeah, it doesn't
but
say.
the enclosure appears to it looks like either stucco or concrete. It's just the mass of that. I'd want it to be a lot more slender,
okay.
particularly the one on the right. I mean, I would think the one to the left there, the intermediate, does have to have some. It looks
Width
like
to
some
it.
width if it's going to have some, like a counterbalance weight, but the end one on the right seems like it's just kind of a heavy mass. So
Does the actual leaf need supports also, as we've discussed in the past, or is it
I
fine?
think
There's no
the steel
structure.
does.
this type, it
it
looks
okay?
like this type of gate it's one sliding piece.
Mhm.
It slides through on what's probably a system of wheels and tracks.
Mm,
So
that
when
supports
it's
it.
open, it's extremely cantilevered. So it's like a sliding partition. But it just seems to me structurally, not sure I'm guessing the one on the right, the pillar, is not structurally doing anything. It's just trying to match the size of the intermediate.
Right. Yeah, that could help. That could help reduce the math too,
gate's
Joel,
nice.
if you would ask about that.
That big.
Okay.
I guess
Not in
I don't know if I
there.
was clear. I was asking about the actual gate. You know, we've had this issue with not, the slats not having full support and how that whole structure plays out in the design.
I
Right,
think
but I
what it
think
is, I'm guessing, is the top, the whole exterior, like
Frame.
the frame is probably one welded piece of steel or aluminum, and the rest is just infill. But
Do you have any
guess
other
the engineer.
input on the color of the gate too?
I believe it's to match the house.
Okay, could you just brown then? Do you mean it should be brown?
It looks
Kind of that Ipe type color that you see the house,
Like a mahogany.
mahogany.
Okay, because I don't see that in here either, and that would be helpful. Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
all right. Well, why don't you come back and when you come back, just give us the color and the material that the gate is made of. That would help, and see if that doesn't work for your client. Okay, I'm sorry if things got heated there. You know, I'm not trying to insult you.
I got it. Okay. Well, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank
Bye.
you, Joe.
I think Ocean Graphics arrived.
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. What did I do with that application? Oh,
It's number 2.
yeah, I know. I just moved it out of my pile and I don't know where I put it.
Okay, so
All right. Ocean Graphic.
Yeah.
Darn the luck. Well, I will read it in. Oh, here we go. Okay. We are going back to number 2, Ocean Graphics, DAPL LLC, Bonfire Coffee House, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-171-2-6. This is Chips, and now the representative is here, so we can conduct business. Hi, Will.
How are you?
Okay, well,
I know.
Eric, can you bring up the photos?
Working on it.
So this is an application for 2 signs for a new coffee house just off Main Street in Amagansett. At our last meeting, we asked for changes to the color and graphics of the signage, a letter from the landlord granting permission for the signage, and an alternate location for the sign on the facade of the building itself. The new sign is white with black lettering, which we had encouraged, with a yellow bonfire image. Previously, it had all been black or dark. The landlord letter has been provided, and the building sign has been repositioned above the front door to the right. So that's the sign that would be across the street. and that's the sign on the building. Total signage square foot is rounded to 16 square feet on the building sign and 2.8 rounded on each side of the street sign. So a total of these three sign facades is 21.6 square feet, which is under the 32 square foot cap. The new signs are much more in keeping with the other signage in the historic district in Amagansett. Comments from the board, or Will, do you want to say something?
I mean, just in regards to these, we're definitely leaning toward the one with more color in it, just to keep some of their brand into it.
I think the color's great. It was the darkness that bothered us last
Sure.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, because you submitted also just black
Just
and
a
white,
black and white
right?
one, just in case that was.
I mean, this is kind of cheerful.
Yeah,
I-
it's nice.
The color is,
I think the
So
color
there's two.
actually
There's
helps
the
it.
Black and white one and then the color one.
So
right?
Oh, this,
you
yeah.
can- yeah, there are the two options.
Yeah, so we're choosing between the black and white and the fire, the one with the fire colored and the one with no color.
That might be
Well,
color.
thank you for these.
The colored one.
Yeah. I think the color is fine.
Yeah, the black and white one is.
Drab.
You said that-
Yeah,
that's the
it looks
preference?
like.
So out of curious, why isn't the ring continuous around it? Why does it break?
I'm not sure. That was part of the design that was kind of sent to us.
Okay.
It's quartered.
All right. Frank, did you have any comments?
No, it's definitely an improvement from what we had before.
If you notice, the bonfire letters also have that
Yeah, that
separation.
break in it.
Oh.
Yeah, part of there. And so the cafe and
Actually,
gelato,
all the typography does, so.
except for coffee house, that doesn't.
I mean, I'm willing to go with it. And I kind of like how it's been moved off center. If you go to page,
Oh, yeah, on
Two.
the,
I do too.
I
I
like
like
how
that.
it's located now.
I think it'll be more visible actually also.
I agree. I agree. Okay. All right. Chip, you want to make a motion?
Sure. So I make a motion to approve the sign application as submitted,
Have a second, please.
with the color being yellow on the background of the sign.
Okay, with the yellow fire, not yet. Okay. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we're done. Thank you for working with us, Will. That was really helpful.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
thanks.
Okay, you have a good evening. Right,
21.6.
next up is Julie Spain, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-74-5-15. This is Diane's, and I think Eric might be helping us with this a little bit because it's sort of unusual.
Hello.
Good evening. My name, sorry. So-
Okay, well, this is an application for fences and gates that exceed 6 feet. And when I first looked at the application, I thought, oh, no. But this is in Hands Creek Harbor, which I don't know if anybody knows this neighborhood, but it is exceptionally architecturally and naturally diverse, and hilly and scenic and dramatic, and this property is that that's their pictures, Eric.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
to see, I didn't see.
I'd like to. I sent several pictures
Let me
because
try
I
to find it.
because I would
Okay,
like
yes,
to.
I have them.
Oh, good. Because I would like to illustrate that when you are, unless you are directly in front of their driveway, if you're walking on the street, if anybody walks on the street, this is what you see. The only. Okay, keep going. Okay, so if you were to go look in their driveway, you would see this beautifully made 6 foot 10 inch slat fence and this iron. This architecturally, I think it's very beautifully done gate. There's a matching gate further down on the property that's very near the water. So there's a very strong aesthetic quality to the house and to what they've chosen to do with it, and it's and the neighborhood is extremely architecturally diverse. There are very dramatic features and homes, and this house is on the water. And I think there's some more And these walls and this gate match the mood of the house and the colors of the house. So you can see that. So the one that we've just been looking at in the driveway that you can only see if you're right on top of it, you cannot see it otherwise, is 6 foot 10 inches. And then is another set of pictures that illustrates the gate, there's a walking path. No, there's more pictures. There's another set of 5 pictures. So there's this walking path. Now, the only thing that's a little touchy is that this walking path is outside of their property line, which is quite obvious on the survey. So the rounded part of this path actually goes into the reserve a little bit, but the blend of the nature and their property, it's all, and this gate, which you cannot see from anywhere because the property is extremely, extremely hilly, is I think 7 feet 4. And it's understandable. I mean, it's right next to a reserve. I'm sure there's plenty animals. And anyway, when I first looked at the application, I thought, oh no, this is just going to be another struggle. But in fact, given the situation and the circumstances of the house and the property and the neighborhood, I tend to think that it's very agreeable.
Except we can't approve something that's not on their property.
That's the thing.
Is the gate not on the property?
No, it's not the gate. It's this walkway that.
But the gate
itself
in the property?
Is right on the property. Here's the survey.
Oh, well, maybe Eric.
Can you pass that down? Because I don't see that digitally.
Yeah. Well. Oh, I see. The steps go out. But it's not connected to more fencing? That gate? Doesn't look like it.
Is standard 6 foot deer fencing.
Do we not have this?
Fencing is totally inoffensive and it's not even.
I'm getting the survey, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I can comment on the off the property issue. We have we did that by mistake because the markings were not very clear.
Sorry,
so we actually have an agreement with the town.
Before you continue, sir,
Would
would
you
you
identify yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Paul Brockus. So
Okay.
I'm Julie Spain's husband, and I'm the architect for all that you're looking at.
Oh.
So thank you for the compliments. I'm sorry it's
It's
causing
very nice.
distress.
I was going to ask who designed it.
The railroad ties and a portion of the fence are in the reserve, like by a few feet, and we have an agreement with the community because that's a reserve property. That should they want us to remove it, move it over, take it away, that we will do so.
Do you have a copy of that for our file? It would be helpful to have. Is that in writing or is it just normal agreement?
No, it is in writing. Yes, it might take me a little while to get it, but I'd be happy
Yeah,
to
if you
do
could
it.
submit it, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
So if they have an agreement, I think that's probably,
So the reserved area is not, it's the reserved area that's, what is it, like a homeowners association or something?
yeah.
Yes, it's the,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
It's waterfront. It's very rural and natural and it's hilly and dramatic. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I had never actually seen that little stretch before and it's very impressive property.
Yeah, subject to that agreement, I have no problem with the board approving something on the reserve area.
Okay.
Well, and also we wouldn't be approving steps. It would
No.
And the gate is not outside the property apparently.
That's a good
Right.
point.
So can you go to the survey
Yeah, okay.
and zoom in on the gate right near the road?
On the left side by
On the left side, zoom way in.
There we go.
Okay, 7 foot high.
So
Yeah, that's what's,
I'm a little worried that part of this beautiful gate is not in your property.
oh dear Lord.
Based on this, is that,
Well, yeah, and that fencing also, no?
The fencing certainly is in the right of
sorry,
way.
not the gate, I'm concerned that part of the gate right up near the road
Yes,
is not actually on your property,
I see that.
like the first.
Because that blue line is,
Blue line represents the property boundary. The
And-
red that you see on the left-hand side is the edge of pavement.
Let's
Yes.
where my finger is there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we extended it to where the telephone pole is. There's this huge
Oh.
Which
telephone
is in
pole
the
there.
easement.
So we went to that point. And it
Yeah.
was also a way to, so when you turn onto the street, there's a 4-foot sort of metal deer fence in the evergreen along the street.
Mhm.
And I think we were trying to connect up with that so we wouldn't have an open gap.
Mhm.
So I don't know who holds us to account for that.
Well, if it's in
Unfortunately,
the
we
right
can't
of way, we can't approve it if it's in the town's right of way. That's a good catch, Frank. Because that's not your property, you know, we can only, I mean, I know you have the agreement with the reserved area, but we can't approve anything that's not actually on the property. So, I'm not sure, what do you recommend here, David?
Well, the board can't approve anything that's in the right of way. You know, the reserve area, like you said, is different because they have a written authorization
Right.
from the community stakeholders to have their walkway there.
So the only option for the applicant is to move it back, is to reposition it outside the right of way?
Correct, or the board could approve the elements of the fence that are on the property and exclude the aspects of the gate and fencing that are in the right of way. But you would, if they're inclined to do that, you would have to understand that they're not authorized to be there, and they could be subject to an order of removal in the future and would not be part of the certificate of occupancy. The CO would only be for the structures within your property.
I understand that.
So what does that mean, though?
Yeah, that's not how we've done it in the past, David, so I'm a little
I
confused
mean,
by that.
that is confusing to me too. We would CO only part of it and not CO the part that's in the,
Well, it's just that you would approve what was within his property, and then
But it connects to,
isn't it one structure?
yeah.
You know,
Just,
it just seems like we're approving part of a structure. I'm confused. I mean, I agree with everything Diane is saying. I think it's architecturally very attractive, and given that it's the backyard, because this is in this waterfront instance, this is considered the backyard, so we are able to go above the 6-foot. We could approve that height, and I would be inclined to do so. But I'm loath to approve something that's not in the right of way. Is the gate itself in the right of way, or just that?
No, I
It
think
looks to me like the edge of the gate is right at the edge of the property line. So as you look at this picture, that pillar that the gate is mounted to that's closest to the street probably marks the edge of the property line, and then the remaining fencing that goes to that utility pole
Okay.
appears to be
That's
within the right of way, which you can see, if I switch back to the survey here, it looks as though the gate comes basically right to the edge of the property line.
Is that wire fencing that was on the outside of the hedge?
mm-hmm.
So I know that sometimes you might want to consult with Kevin Cobb too. Just it doesn't change what we just said, but in instances where there is vegetation in the right of way, and it's the gate sometimes holds that vegetation in place and prevents it from further obstructing into the right of way. For instance, if there is a sidewalk there, they would prefer to allow the wire fence in there. I'm not saying that's the case in this situation, but
allow the wire fencing in the right of way?
Because the hedge, right, it says approximately.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't understand that.
Hedging there.
Yeah,
If it's a situation where if they would remove the wire fencing, the hedge would further encroach into the road.
Yeah.
That's something to consider before we direct him to remove it.
What height is that wire fencing? Is it 4 feet, you said?
It's 4 feet on the street.
I don't think that's holding much back.
Okay, so it didn't appear to be holding it back anyway, but I just wanted to raise that point in case
it makes-
inadvertently.
Right.
See, on the street, in the 4-foot fence plus the evergreen, I think does work. But as you as you come around on the side driveway, it probably does not work unless we're allowed to do it 6 feet high.
Question, when did you construct the fence and gate?
The
One next to the driveway.
The gate has been there since 2007.
Okay.
Fence, it was just a deer fence. It was actually an 8-foot deer fence that was running back from the gate. And because it doesn't really hold any of the characteristics of the fence and gate, so the purpose of the fence and gate regulation is really clear and well written. And it really speaks to something that is parallel to the street.
Yeah.
So, if you had something traversing the driveway. So
I'm just asking when it was built, the wooden fence.
It was built while we were doing the construction of we renovated this house very recently.
Okay, I'm only saying, because the date of the survey is January of last year. The survey is saying a 7-foot high wire fence. It's a technical issue, but we require the survey to be current.
Yes.
So if you change the fence, even if you replace it in the same location, I mean to be nitpicky, but the survey may not reflect that fence.
Well, actually, it does.
I think what you're hearing too is that the board isn't inclined to approve anything that's in the right of way.
I don't think we can. I mean,
no, you
inclination,
can't.
We're disabled. We cannot.
No, you don't have the authority to approve anything in the right of way.
Right. So we're trying to work with you on, a suggestion on how to remedy it, but.
Right. No, but to your question, which I understand, is the survey was actually updated like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I believe.
We have an old copy then, because this is January 13th, 2022.
Yeah, no, there are many more recent ones, but we
don't have that.
We had to update it 8 times to get through the DOB until this last one where they said, finally, I mean, this has been here for a long time and all the DOB reviews.
Who's the DOB?
This is building department, I think.
Department building.
I'm wondering if this is if this was the first one that came to the building department that ended up in our hands.
Yeah.
So
They needed
you said there's a more
variances.
recent one.
They needed variances, and I think that may be why this has been submitted. So maybe we should take a look at the survey, see what the most recent survey says.
You have the most recent survey. It was submitted with the
Appear to be
application.
case, sir, because this is a year old or
Yeah, we have the
something like that.
January 2022.
Yeah, I can show this to you. When you
What is submitted to the building department isn't submitted to us. We're a different agency. And
I think as part of our applications,
Oh.
got it here.
Weird.
Seems odd, I guess, but.
Yeah, very odd.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
This
It
is-
says driveway gate and fence.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
We have
Is
it
the
stated.
surveyor forgot to change the year that
Yes,
year,
in fact, that's in your letter.
because it says the one below it is August 24th, 2022.
Yeah, and your letter actually
Okay.
points out that the survey date is incorrect. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh,
It's the surveyor. Blame the surveyor. Okay.
Okay.
If you look-
Okay. So it is apparently current.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Well,
I don't know why. I don't know why he put in wire, because he came to the site to measure it.
Was that
I don't know why he put in wire, because he actually came to the site to
Yeah.
measure the height of
right?
fence. That's also
Blame the surveyor again.
Being lazy.
All right, well,
Where does this leave us?
it leaves us where we can't approve it, but I think we'll ask, I'm sorry, Mr. Broaches, am I saying your name? Brockus, forgive me, Mr. Brockus, to talk to the building department, I guess. And then I think you're going to probably have to remove the fencing that's in the right of way. That would be my guess, but what do you think, David? Is that a good approach?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
really.
All right. We'll
Really?
send you a follow-up letter, Mr. Broaches, and give you.
In that letter, could you indicate that you're positively inclined to the 10-inch?
Sure. Yeah,
above the 6
sure,
feet, because
we
that's
can.
actually where Dawn was the person.
But the letter is going to go to you, so you know what you need to do next. And you know we're positively inclined. We generally do that, but this letter is supposed to be something of a to-do list so that you can resubmit and we can get you moving along.
We're not going to have that in the letter that we're so inclined. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Is why I think Kathy is saying
Letter, yes, the letter is from our board to you. It's
action
not to the
points,
building
but
department.
we
It's-
wouldn't express in a written letter that
I see.
we're leaning in this direction. It's just that we'd only say where we voted.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't, right.
So to help me on the, what you're suggesting is that I go talk to the building department as to what they will approve? They probably can't approve it either once it's over the
No.
property.
No.
This right of way.
You're going to need to move the
You're gonna need
structure.
to remove the fence. That's my opinion, is you're gonna need to remove that fence that's in the right of way. Because nobody can approve something's in the town's right of way, unfortunately for you.
And even the fence, the 4-foot fencing technically shouldn't be there.
Right,
So you have to move it back.
Everything has to be moved within your property line.
right. Anything that's in the
So
right of way.
how do we enclose the deer fence condition? We don't?
You have to move it all in within your
Within
property.
your property line.
We're not asking you to remove the fencing. We're asking you to just move it within your property.
Back, move it onto your property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to lose some of that nice pathway and everything.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. It's all right.
In the front.
Okay.
I don't-
But now,
All right.
on the-
Right, well, beyond that gate, beyond that beautiful gate, there's a beautiful stone pathway and you can go down to the water on either side of the house and it's very beautifully landscaped. So it's going to, moving it is going to impede that.
No, I don't think it'll change that. I think it's only going to be that I have this gap between the post for the gate and the telephone pole. And
Right.
I'm
have
just
to-
not,
You're going to plant a tree.
Yeah,
I'm
something.
joking, because you,
Okay.
it's actually
All right.
right away.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brochus. We're going to move on now.
And I would-
And we'll
I would
send you
also
a
just-
follow-up letter with some recommendations.
Sure, I think Frank had
I
one.
was just going to add, I would
Okay,
just follow up with the building department on what you can build as of right, given that your property is on the water
yes.
and that is your backyard. So just confirm what is your
Yeah, we'll put
you can
that in the
build as of right
as
We'll
of
put
right,
that in the letter for
for
you.
fence
okay?
heights.
sorry.
For fence heights.
So they also already have the variance, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a variance.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I think a couple variances, so
Yeah.
that's part of why it's been through several cycles, I think, in various boards, so.
Yes.
Okay. All
Thank
right,
you
well,
very-
thank
thank
you.
you.
Sorry
Thank
we
you.
couldn't help you more. Okay. Next up is Scott Freeman and Johanna Markson, Suffolk County Tax Note number 300-73-4-12. That's fine. This is basically is the applicant present?
Yes.
I am. Hi, I'm Scott Freeman. Good to meet you.
Hi. Oh, good. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mr. Freeman. Okay, this has been around the block a couple times, and I'm glad to get the information that we requested, but I do have a question. You all may recall that this driveway, there are two driveway gates. It's a U-shaped driveway. There were stone pillars in place. The applicant has been before us a handful of times. It's been East Hampton fence and gate. And they have decided to remove the masonry pillars and replace them with natural cedar, which is great. And when they were last before us, they had sent us these elevations with the supports hand drawn in on the gate, which we asked them to remedy, submit with actual dimensions and show us, in a more complete application what that proposal was. Now they have done the slats are meant to be 2 inches, and they will run, as you can see behind. Thank you, Eric. Behind the gate there, it's a 2-inch natural cedar vertical. You guys can read that, mid brace at the back of the gate. My question is it only going to be on the right gate? Because when this was submitted, that seemed to be what the applicant told Julie, our secretary, because she said only one side of gate is depicted.
Have to do in bold, I'm sorry. Yep.
That seems so unusual to me, why you would.
It'll be on both. That was just an oversight. of the-
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
all right,
Plans
okay.
need to be changed then, right?
Say again?
So wouldn't the plans need to be changed?
I think the plans would need to be resubmitted with that. But then I think we could just do an administrative approval because we can't approve this plan as submitted because it doesn't depict. I find it so peculiar that they only put the thing on the right gate. But, excuse me?
Structure that's not visible. It's the footing and the steel is only depicted on the left side, even though architecturally you'll never see it.
You'll never see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I would, I'm sorry, this just seems endless, but this is a bookkeeping requirement that we have the proper plans, in the file for this application.
I get it.
I think in this, I have no problem with it. I'd recommend the board approve this as submitted. But it's got to have, all the gates have to be uniform and it's got to be depicted on these elevations for us in that way.
So if we submit it and the left gate, it mirrors the right gate, we're good to go?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, but I still have to, we still have to bring it before the board and vote on it, but I don't anticipate any problems because we've seen this several times now. Anybody else?
No, I think I'd be favorable.
Okay.
There's no way to approve it, subject just doing it?
I'm sorry. No, I can't because we have to make a resolution and it's got to reference plans and the plans have to be accurate. So, and these plans are not, and oddly, specifically, we asked for Julie caught this and the person that submitted it said, no, it's only on the right gate. So that sent us down a rabbit hole, I'm afraid. Anyhow, I'm sorry about it, but we'll try to, if you can get us the drawings, I'm sure we can get you back on quickly. I would be willing to put that back on at the next meeting.
You guys say, Diana?
I'm just trying to decipher the drawing. So it's one thin slat, one thicker slat. That's correct? Okay. I was getting dizzy trying to figure it out.
Well, it is a little, but it's a 50% transparency.
Yes.
At which we asked for. I mean, this is, we've seen this, probably this may be our fourth.
Okay.
And the material is cedar, and then the pillars are the steel, and then they're enclosed in what? I'm sorry?
Cedar.
Also cedar. Okay.
So cedar. Yeah. I mean, well, this should all be in your on
In
the
the drawing.
plans.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, which it kind of isn't. If you could just indicate, it'd be very easy to do that, to say, I mean, you've mentioned in cover letters, which is great. But it's not all in one place and it needs to be all in one place.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if it just said all natural cedar, at least that we know all the materials are.
All right, we'll get it done ASAP, get it over to you.
Okay,
Hopefully get it.
sounds
Okay.
great.
Sorry.
Thank
There are
you
a
so
couple.
much.
There are a couple of dimensions that need to be added. Just
Oh, okay.
so.
Thank you.
Hang on. Which it's weird. The dimensions I'm seeing here is a little different than the one. Okay. Anyways, so you're showing a height of 5'3" and 5 inches between the driveway and the gate. We need it for record to show what the overall. So it's 5'3", so it's going to be 4'10" is the size of the gate leaf.
Right. That's a good
So
catch. Thank you.
so that gate. So because what we don't want to have happen is that the driveway is 6 inches lower, and you put in a 5-inch gap, and then we find out that the gate leaf itself. And leaf, I mean the actual physical gate, is not 4'10". It becomes 5'3".
So you want us to add in that dimension, just be more clear about that?
Because that's going to have to go in the resolution.
Okay, that's fine.
So that
Total height.
also the width of. So you're showing the gaps of the open in all the horizontals, but the distance between where the openings end and the end of the gate. Does that make clear? So that dimension is not provided.
With the,
In other words,
can you clarify that?
so there should be a dimension in the X direction of between, you take one gate panel and what is the distance between the end of the panel and the opening?
So like the frame.
Like where they meet, you want to know if you take.
Go to the middle of the gap, middle of the, there you
Middle
go.
of
So
gate,
the
yeah.
distance from that to the opening in the gate.
Right,
I mean, the slat.
right.
What's the width of that?
What's the width of that whole frame?
Frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole frame is.
Okay, well, you
5
got to
inch.
call it out in the drawing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
yeah. And so,
Right.
so it's a 2-inch slat and a 4-inch slat in the
See,
middle.
they want to see that.
2 and 4, Frank?
They wanted to see that dimension.
Is it 2 and 4? I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Could I just clarify, the slats are 2-inch and 4-inch?
This- Which ones? I think they're
No,
all,
I think the slats are 3.5 and 1 1/4.
3.5.
That's, I'm showing 4.5.
Reading this wrong?
Yours doesn't have that stuff up top.
That one's,
you can come.
And 1.5.
Oh, wait a minute, this is a new one.
Small slot, that one, that's 1.5 and that one, that's 3.
3. And then the space in between.
Space 4.5, so have 50.
Right. 3-inch board, 1 1/4-inch board, and 4.5-inch gaps. Yeah, I see that.
And 3 inch.
1.5.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so it's got a rhythm to it. It's not.
Right.
Yeah, it's unusual in that way, but I don't,
Okay.
I don't mind it. I think we generally gave them good feedback on this design the last time it was before us. But all these details need to be spelled out. It's.
Okay. We'll add a few more dimensions to the drawing as well, just to make it clear.
Okay, well, we'll send you a follow-up letter and, make sure that you can go through that checklist, because without these questions answered, we can't move on it, okay? It's got to be complete. All right?
Yeah, I guess I just want to be clear, just specifying those dimensions in the drawing. They're already there, just being more clear about them and making clear in the drawing that we're adding the slats to the left side as well. Okay.
Yes, and also the dimension that Frank was asking for, because we have to be able to dimensionally understand the gates. And
And we'll add that, but it's already there. We'll just make it more clear. Okay. We're not going to change anything, I guess, is the point. We're just going to make these numbers.
Right,
More
just
clear.
add the
put the
dimensions.
numbers in. Yeah, you don't have
Because
to
you-
change the
what
drawing,
I'm
you just
getting
got to
at-
reference it better.
I got it.
What I'm getting at is like, if you don't, those are you could call those styles. There's styles and rails. So the styles, the vertical pieces that are not dimensioned, someone can go back for the as-built and say, well, that's, it's 8 inches. I'm sorry you didn't see that on the drawing. But so it has to be held to that.
All right, no, not a problem.
That's all.
All right, great. All right,
All right,
thank you.
thanks.
Thanks very much. All right, next up is Cranberry Dune Tract 1 and 4 LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-189-5-10.5. This is 346 Further Lane. This is Frank's. Is Lori present or someone from LPS?
Yes.
She is here.
Okay, great. Okay, Frank, you want to get us started, please?
Okay. If you can pull up the site photos, please, and the architectural renderings, I think are good. Okay. This is an application to renovate and expand a house on Further Lane that sits within an agricultural overlay. This property is known as Lot 4, part of a parcel of properties that comprise an estate on Further Lane. For the survey, part of the driveway that the main house on this estate uses in a separate lot to access Further Lanes runs through this lot. The existing house is a two-story dwelling with a pool and terrace. The applicant is requesting approval for the following renovations. Let's just first go through the photos. There is a larger house on the estate, but that's not part of this application. Keep going. Just to familiarize people. That's the kind of the back side of the house. There's a greenhouse that will get removed are moved. That is the rear from the pool side, which will become more of a larger entrance. Again, same place, but if you can envision on the right, there will be an expansion of the house to the right there. I didn't mention the other part of the expansions, but we'll get to that. Keep going. That part will remain unchanged, but note the architecture of the circular roof, peaked roof there. There will be more of those added. Keep going. So this is just some views. It's very well screened within the this very large property. I'm not. And these photographs are not taken from the lot itself, but from the estate, of which, to give you a context of where this is. This is also within the estate from the field looking through the tennis court, which is not on the property, again, it's very well screened, to this house. And that's the field next to the tennis court. So that's just to give you some context of here. Let's go to the architectural. I think the renderings are a good spot, and then I can walk you through what's happening here. So there should be some 3D renderings.
The 2D elevation plans, but
are there not? I thought there were renderings. Okay, let's go through the 2D plans. No, hang on. There are 4 proposed images here.
Okay. I have ones dated, modified January 27th.
There are 4 JPEGs should be in the folder. Proposed elevations, east, north.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah, there are 4 of the proposed, and open those. It's probably a good place to orient yourself. So what you're looking at is this is new, this semicircular volume with the covered second floor outdoor terrace and the roof above. The chimney just to the left of it, that's further beyond, is a new chimney. I believe to the right is a new gable. We'll have that, the architect or someone from the applicant confirm that. Keep going. That is the north elevation, which changes somewhat, rather substantially. So if you can recall where that small door was, to the left, so it gets built up on both sides of it. To the right of it is a new wing addition of 2 guest bedrooms and related program. To the left, there is, I think that's a square at the top of it, like a square tower, which is the I believe the architect can confirm that the new stairwell with a foyer and a stairwell up to the master suite, and to the left of it, those gables are new. So let's go to and we can walk through their floor plans. So I'll reiterate this. On the north elevation, expanding somewhat to create a new stairwell to the upstairs. On the west elevation, which is what I had shown before, expanding the building footprint to build 2 bedrooms and supporting program. There's a slight expansion of the pool terrace of only a few feet at the west side. If we let's go to the plans.
Floor plans?
Yeah, I think that's the basement. Go to the next one.
That's the existing first floor. Sorry, they don't have these in the packet, so I have to open each one individually.
See what the plans are. Go way down. Plans, March 15th is the file. Second to last. It's right near the survey.
Okay. I have survey March 15th.
Do you see a file that says plans?
I think I have it now. Sorry, just give me 1 second.
Okay, next page. Next page. Okay, so the pool at the bottom of the page you saw, and there's just a kind of a rectangular bar that's gray. That's the expansion of the terrace footprint. What is shaded, this is a good drawing to show the footprint expansion of the house. To the left, that's the new bedroom wing, and this should all be confirmed by the architect or applicant. To the right, that new covered porch is it kind of matches the architecture of the what's been built. And then you'll see to the north, the top of the page, that small area, the square spire, stairwell. Next page. You see the footprint also carrying to the second floor. Next page. Pretty much the same thing. So the
second floor plan.
Yeah. Roof plan. And I may want the architect to just walk through this, but let me just say in closing, my opinion is that this application in general appears to be an appropriate addition to the existing house. The massing, roof lines, materials, and lighting integrate well with the existing house and create a unified design that's appropriate. The house is well screened within the greater estate. So with that introduction,
I'm Zachary Clanahan. I'm representing Eric Woodward Architects. You've done a great job explaining it and navigating through it. I know there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
As you said, we are trying to keep with the existing architecture of the structure. The two key elements are those round towers. Did you want me to walk you through that second floor and go back down from there, or do you want me to explain?
I think maybe the elevations are actually a good way to walk through what's being proposed here.
So you can see the hatched areas are the new areas, and the unhatched is the existing. And you can see we're trying to maintain the existing height of the radius structure that's there, trying to keep that same feel to the house, because it is kind of in submission to the larger house on the southerly lot. So we're trying to keep that feel to it. We're keeping the same materials, same trim colors, same siding colors, roofing materials. We're trying to just make it feel like it's always been there, which is always a good approach, I think, with an addition.
Right. I want to also thank you for the way you've hatched the drawings. I think it's clear to the ARB.
That was actually Richard Anderson. Can't take credit for that.
What's new and proposed? Oftentimes we'll get drawings where we're trying to figure out what's existing and proposed.
Do we have some sense of the square feet, how it's being added, what exists?
Yeah. So there are a lot of numbers. If you want to go back a couple of drawings, it is broken down. Keep going.
What's the existing? I guess let's start with that. And then
there, somewhere in these drawings, I think it's like the third page.
It's page 3A, I believe, because I had a feeling this question would come up, so I wanted to make sure I had the numbers ready. The existing first floor on page 3A is 2,785 square feet.
Yeah. So, sorry, Eric, it's page 4 of the PDF.
Okay, they were saying that the numbers.
It's right there on the side there.
Zoom in to those numbers there as much as you can. There we go.
And then you can see
these are accurate, right?
Yes. You can see on the second section there, the proposed first floor and proposed second floor additions. The second floor addition is actually very minimal in relation to the size of the structure.
Yeah.
It's just a master suite, really.
Yeah. Let me also add, I meant to mention this to the, which is on the survey, meant to mention to the board. In terms of coverage, there's 8,399 square foot allowable, 3,682 currently existing, proposed is 5,023. So looks like about one could say a 40% or so increase in existing coverage, but it's at about 60% of the maximum allowable coverage. Lot coverage, maximum allowable is 29,399. existing lot coverage is 8,335, proposed is 9,521. So we're still substantially below the maximum permitted.
And to understand why we're doing the second floor suite there, it's really the one area where you can get a water view past the southerly house. That's kind of what drove the location of the second floor suite.
Okay.
What's the total square footage of the existing house and what will be the total square footage of just the one number of the new house?
Existing first floor is 2785. There is no second floor currently.
Okay.
And so we would be adding those two other figures, the 894 and the 948. So
that takes you up to
just under 5,000.
3,600 or something.
So currently it's a one-story house?
Correct.
Yeah.
With a lot of cathedral ceilings.
Right.
That's,
Right.
yeah. So
That's why you see the
All right,
gables
all
and
right.
the whole turret, the round radius area is 2-story.
I think it's a lot.
yeah. What is the size of this lot?
Let's check the survey again.
It's on the survey. I forget off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
There you go.
Just zoom out.
Just under 2 acres.
Yeah, and zoom out to see just the context of the survey.
Large.
Show you an
A
aerial
house on the
photograph.
survey.
You can just see a portion of the house to the south that we're trying to get a view around.
Does the board want to see an aerial photo?
Sure, for some
that would be
context of
helpful.
the entire estate.
Sure. Just give me a minute to pull that.
Okay.
And so to everyone to know that the property is screened not this lot, but the entire estate is screened on 3 sides, and
Just under
the
2.
estate runs from Further Lane to the ocean. Yeah, if you can bring up an aerial of it.
So it's 2 acres and how many acres? Many.
It must be 50, 60 acres here.
It's very big.
I believe it's just under, what is it?
Just over 26 acres.
Right.
26.
26 all in?
All 5 lots.
There's 4 developable lots and then there's a big ag easement in the middle.
And all 4 lots are developed,
No, the 2 to the north haven't been developed.
but they could be.
Yes, they could, yeah.
There's an aerial photograph of the property off of Further Lane.
And that's the lot in question,
Yes.
approximately.
And the blue is the lot in question.
Correct.
Yeah,
But
thanks. Here, I'll
all those 4 lots.
jump back to the survey just so you can see. You can see the access is out to Further Lane over that strip, but then here's the aerial photograph showing just the parcel, and I'll zoom in.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Zoom out just a little bit.
That's the tennis court there, or
So that's the tennis court, and then there's a little pond to the right of it. And I believe the property line for that lot is just to the right of that, that pond.
It kind of goes up and does a jog. It goes across.
And you can see the main house there facing the ocean.
Mhm.
And then to the north of it is just, that's like a colonnade of trees you're seeing. That's an ag reserve.
And then where are the other lots in context?
If you go up to the north, right currently now it's horse stables. That's what they've always had it as.
Looks very modest.
What's not to like?
Okay, well, does anybody have any questions for Frank or the applicant? I mean, I think this was a thorough presentation. We have a good idea of what they're looking to do.
Oh, and there's one last thing, the lighting. Sorry to interrupt if I was interrupting you, Kathy, but so there's one fixture being proposed at the covered porch facing the pool. I have no issues with it.
Okay.
Assuming it's a dark sky compliant fixture.
Oh, we would need
It is,
that
yeah.
submitted,
Yeah, we
right?
submitted the paperwork for the dark sky compliance.
Yeah,
You can see it
so
on this rendering.
seeing on the rendering, I think hopefully we all can remember the view from the pool.
I thought there was a cut sheet.
Can you
with
bring
it.
up the lighting cut sheet?
I think there
Which
was
would
one.
be-
I'm pretty sure we did submit that.
Yeah, we have it. Lighting cut sheet spec is the PDF.
Yeah, I see it here.
There we go.
Which I have no objection to.
Okay. All right. Well, anybody have any questions or comments?
So there were, I just was looking at the renderings and seeing other things that were bubbled. Were there any changes to the existing fenestration? Or was it just a roof or something that was bubbled that I couldn't tell? What
If you
was
want to go back
happening?
to that
Could
one
we,
elevation, yeah,
please?
I could point out what is staying existing and what's being proposed.
Do you want the 3D rendering or the 2D?
I think the 2D one that had like the
2D with
hatching showing the proposed and then the area unhatched.
Sure.
Do you want me to point out on the screen or is that all right?
What? Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
Any sheet in particular, or?
It was the one that was like the full south elevation. So if you go to the next page, I believe that one.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yep. Thank you.
It's a big house.
So these are all proposed new windows.
And that's the whole, a new addition, obviously.
This is a new
yes.
addition. These are all going to stay as they are. They're all in good shape. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We are replacing those in kind because they are starting to rot and weather. So we are going to replace them with the same light patterns, same
How
look.
old is this house?
90s? Oh, three.
That's
It gets pretty weathered down there.
Mhm.
So we are going to, but we are not changing any of that. We're going to try to keep that look because the client loves that look and it really suits the main house really well.
Right. Well, you would need to, if you're going to replace them, you would need to get approval from this board to modify that, I think, if you're going to replace them with something else, right? If it's an.
No,
Oh, we're going to replace in
it's
kind.
in kind, Kathy, but if you
That's
were.
what I was just saying, if it's an in-kind replacement, but if if it varies from that, then you'll have to run it by us.
Oh, of course. No, we're going to keep that look. There's going to be no change to the look at all.
Is the greenhouse, just curious, is the greenhouse going anywhere else on the, I don't think it's.
Yeah, we asked about that, in the original
It's being
follow-up
removed.
letter. Is it being removed entirely or is it being replaced on the property?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's being demolished.
Be a nice thing to give away.
Oh,
That's
I
too
want a
bad.
greenhouse.
They might be open to you coming and picking it up.
Well,
It's just-
I might encourage it like like another property owner who recently developed a new house on Further Lane recently is donating their house to Project Most. And I think Project Most would be grateful for a greenhouse
Okay.
if the owner would
I'll let them
consider.
know.
Okay. All
Are
right.
there photorealistic renderings too or no?
There were, I just was, okay, so what is bubbled out over the, along where the windows that you were just indicating there?
Over here?
Yeah, what is all of that?
So if you go to.
It's hard to see from here, I'm
Go
sorry.
down to the next elevation. That is that new round element that's a roof deck for the second floor master suite where they get the ocean view. And then down here is a covered porch where there's a den, a study, and a place to come out and congregate under that covered porch. So that is new. That's kind of picking up on the existing round element on the other side of the house.
Mhm.
Same pitches, same radius.
So only that center, no, so this whole section is 2 stories on this side.
From here back is 2 stories, yes.
Okay.
This was a gable originally, a double height, well, a cathedral gable. And so then we just added the floor plate to get the second floor and we changed the pitch. Just get a little more head height.
And the stairwell down to the basement, is that, remind me, is that new?
That is new proposed. Yeah, that tower element.
No, this one here, I think, right?
The stairwell down to the base. There you go.
Proposed. Correct.
Okay, so that's new, the walkway down to the basement. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, unless anybody else has any other comments, I'd like to make a motion for this. So I make a motion to approve this application as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, no, I'll say aye.
Okay, all right, great. Good to go. All right, thank you.
Fantastic.
All right. Tell Erica I said hey. Okay, next up is View 49 LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-196-1-21. Is Mr. DeLacia or a representative for the applicant present?
Yes, he's here, Kathy.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Okay, all right. So 49, okay, Mooney, this is Esperanza, this is you.
Yes. So this has been a long haul for this application, which we have a resolution dating to January 28, 2021 for this roughly 2-acre property off Wainscott Hollow Road in Wainscott, which had a proposed and now built 7,400 square foot residence and a 198 square foot pool house. With originally on the resolution, it was semi-transparent stained shake cedar siding, cedar shake roof, bone white trim, fascia freeze, semi-transparent stained horizontal siding for a trash receptacle by the garage. So it was an important detail to include apparently in the resolution. And a black seagull barn light in various locations. There have been a couple of subsequent applications that were actually for modifications. I can't even recap all of that at this point, but you're here today because our last request was for current floor and electrical plans, which you have submitted. Or I'll just read what you've submitted actually. You included an approved survey from January 28, 2021. We also have a recent survey. Pool house drawings that show the approved pool house and then the modified pool house because the pool house was also relocated. Elevations that indicate approved and modified or as built. A specification sheet for a wafer LED recessed downlight that was to replace 3 of the barn lights that were going over the garage doors, and these recessed lights would now go in the brow over the garage. A spec sheet for the exterior sconce, which we had already approved in 2021, and a landscape plan indicating path lighting and the specifications for that. In addition, there was also a generator that was being proposed, and we've had some back and forth about that. And I'm looking forward to what you will present to us because I didn't have all the documentation in my packet, unfortunately, and only until today did I have more clarification through Eric with a chart indicating the different options for what you're proposing. But if I understand correctly, there's a new proposed Kohler generator that is 65.5 inches tall. And that's as much as I kind of will go for regarding the generator. What you've also submitted pertinent to the generator are documents from regarding the sound output, which was the main issue that we were, well, part of the issue we were having with, because the generator was not code compliant. So now we have some documents from SoundSense that indicate a QB12 EXT barrier or sound absorber and a sound enclosure that you're proposing, which are the different options of location and the size or the height of the of this sound barrier. And with regard to the lighting plan that you did submit, I just had some concerns. There's no issue, obviously, with the already approved barn lights, and the wafer lights are fine. What I did see on the lighting plan, and I would refer to And you know what, Eric, if you wouldn't mind just scrolling through the photographs of the site, I forgot to mention that, so we'd have something to look at. The photos that I took. Sheet E 101, there's an indication of pre-wire for future lighting in exterior soffit on the front facade. And the same for sheet E102, there's also pre-wired for future soffit lighting on the second story. So these are first and second stories. And I imagine those are the two portions of protruding portions on the front facade. So I wanted to call attention to that because that wasn't something that was, I don't think, originally proposed, and the pre-wiring of a soffit lighting is concerning to me.
Okay.
Then I also did just want to point out that I caught in your plans that the siding was revised to be naturally weathered cedar as opposed to, okay, so I wanted to make that note. And it's white cedar still, is that right? Or what is
Alaskan yellow.
Oh, Alaskan yellow. Somewhere I saw white, okay. And then I wanted to ask, because I saw on one of the renderings that, you carefully did present what was approved and what is changed. Since the garbage enclosure was included in the resolution, it wasn't in the rendering. So I just wanted to ask if that was still
in the renderings I submitted this time?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the new submission. Yeah. So I just wanted to draw the attention to that as well. And that's it for now. I think we'll just just to be clear, all of what you have indicated as proposed and modified, et cetera, and on the plans, it's there, it's fine. I have no objection to those things. So there's no issue with that. I think what I've just called your attention to regarding the lighting and then we'll discuss the generator.
Okay, my name is Louis D'Alessia. I'm with JC Construction Management. It's definitely, I hope it's a thorough application. We're a year and a half in. We haven't gotten any approvals in writing on our changes. So unfortunately, we keep presenting information that's old and tired at this point. I see that our architect did miss the rendering of the garbage enclosure, but we do intend to keep that.
Okay.
Thank you for noting that. Regarding the lighting at the front facade, I'm not sure that there's pre-wire there. And if the resolution says, no facade lighting to be approved, that's totally fine.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't want it indicated on the plans so that it then has that possibility. That would be my recommendation.
You can see it. There's wiring. You can see it.
So it would be in these two gabled sections since they're recessed, there would be lighting above each of the sets of windows.
Right. Okay.
So that's not something that was originally proposed, and I would dissuade you from including that.
Okay, we agree with that entirely. Are we saying that would hold up an approval of any of this right now?
No, you would need to revise the plans so that that's not on there.
It wouldn't be approved except for.
No, there's no such thing as approving except for the plans that we approve are the plans that the resolution is written from, and they must be detailed precisely. And if we can't, we could send you out of here like as not, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but with the understanding that these changes are relatively acceptable and that the next submission pending resolution of these other issues would be okay. But whatever we approve has to be exactly what is being proposed. And
so I understand that point, Kathy. My original resolution is approved except for fences, gates that are indicated on the plans. We're a year and a half in.
We've made some mistakes on the application. I've got mistakes admitted in writing by the board that we're going to get approved and rectified on the next meeting. And that was back in October that I was sent out of here. So I'm here for leniency.
Okay, all I'm saying to you, I understand. I understand that you're frustrated. I understand this seems like it's been a long time, but we have to follow a protocol. Member Leon is just detailing to you what it is that needs to be changed. And, you know, we have been trying to work with you. Yes, there have been many errors. There were modifications made. It was a hot mess. So we're getting it all together and we're working with you. We're doing the best we can. And I'm just trying to, you know, explain to you that there's no such thing as an approval pending some next correction. The correction is to be made before we can approve it.
I have that such thing in my original resolution.
Okay, so you're saying we approved that lighting?
No,
No, he's saying that there was a conditional approval that was done. And what you're hearing now is that given the complexity and the duration of the history of this application, that the board isn't willing to do that. They want what's in the plans to be what's approved.
On a pre-wire of lighting? I mean, I'm sorry.
That's just what they're saying. And
I understand.
So I understand your position. That's their position. I don't know how much.
I mean, my position is just that we need to have the plans reflecting what I'm telling you right now, which is
You didn't on the resolution.
No.
We understand that that's happened before, and I'm telling you now that the chair's discretion, what she wants are plans that reflect what's approved, and that's within her power to ask for that.
I understand. I'm a year and a half and 90 pages in. This is probably never going to be perfect. That I can come back in 2 months and we can find some tiny thing. I appreciate your thoroughness. With no intention of downlighting the facade.
Well, it would seem, I don't want to contradict, but from your plans, that intention is there. So I'm just requesting that be removed. I'm not saying you're not getting your approval for the modifications that you're here for today. I'm just asking that the plans reflect the removal of that particular detail. That's all. It's not something that is deterring us in any way to move forward.
Okay, so where are we now? Did you finish your analysis, Esperanza?
Oh, I had. Lewis was the one that was
okay.
Speaking.
All right. So Lewis, what else do you need from us?
I mean, that's the least minor thing that we could talk about on this application, or the most minor.
I think the thing we need to discuss is the generator. Maybe you could give us some thoughts on how, what your client's preference is and what seems to be, what we feel is workable and so on.
I'm interested to hear exactly what the issue is with the generator and what the resolution might be.
Well, you submitted 3 different options for
yeah, could you present the options to us so that we can all understand? Because I'm not exactly clear. Sure. We can look at this photograph, which I believe indicates the general area of where this generator would go.
Yes.
And then we have your, obviously, the renderings that you submitted. So we can go through those and you can please explain what the options are and we'll go from there.
Yes, I apologize. I had no mean to say that you have to walk me through this. I meant to say that the fact that the generator is not code compliant, I have to get past first that we're bordered by an agricultural reserve in which no houses can be built. So how there could be a noise violation on a property line where a house can't be built.
We understand your position. Could you please address the different options you submitted?
Code's code. I mean, you can't exceed.
Yeah, we can't. I mean, we can't. We can't approve. It doesn't matter that there are no houses. It's a residential. It's a residentially zoned area with an agricultural overlay, and the code requires that there be noise compliance. So, that isn't even something this board can address. We can all. I mean, that's part of the reason this has been taking so long is that. we can't approve anything that isn't code compliant. So it's not within our power to say, oh, okay, well, if it doesn't meet the nighttime decibels, that's all right. It's close enough. We can't do that, and I don't even think the Zoning Board of Appeals can override that part of the code. I'm reasonably sure that the noise ordinance is
It's outside of zoning.
or it's outside, yeah, so that you can't even get a variance for that. So, we're just trying to work with you. We're not trying to be difficult. We're trying to explain to you what the criteria are that we need to use to judge whether this is ready for approval. One of them is that it needs to meet the present code noise emissions. And from what I could see and we thought, if you don't want to walk us through it, that's fine. We can do it ourselves. There was a chart in the submissions and that the paper that was submitted that indicated, I think Eric had it up. It was an acoustic memo from Sound Sense, which is a reliable local firm that describes these various things: daytime code, nighttime code. Now, the thing I would like to say is that we shouldn't be considering any of the ones that don't meet the nighttime code and the daytime code. So I think it's just the bottom, the second to last one, the 225 feet from the property line, no treatment, meets the nighttime code. Nothing else does. So in this configuration. So I'm wondering, in my review of this, if the generator with no treatment at 130 feet from the property line, if you could treat it, could you bring that down to meet the nighttime code?
Yes, I presented all those options.
I don't see that here.
Okay, if I could go back to my last point, please.
Sure.
When the board shall not for any reason approve any design that is in violation of any requirement of town code, to this end, the review board shall consult with the building inspector and the fire prevention inspector whenever necessary, and shall urge applicants to do so at the earliest possible stage as well. And we've done so, and the understanding is that the building department has done so as well. It advised that they're still approving generators, and that they think that this generator would be code compliant because there's no neighbor to issue a noise violation.
Respectfully, you're just going to have to move on from that. I don't want to litigate the generator issue in front of this. We want to look at the options that you have. I think that the board is firm in their charge that approving something in violation of the noise ordinance would violate the town code ARB section that says that the ARB shall not approve something that's in violation of another section of the code. I know that I've met with the building department, the town attorney, with Eric, and we need to have something that mitigates the noise level to make it compliant with the nighttime reading in order to comply with the charge, the board not approve something that violates another section of the town code. I don't think it serves anybody to really argue. I understand your position. I hear what you're saying, and I
just reading the next line of the town code that says the building inspector.
Well, respectfully too, the building, again, this is 185 is not in the zoning code. It is a noise ordinance. So we consulted with the building department, but this is an ordinance. It's a noise level violation. So it's separate. We did talk to the building department, and their instruction to us was not to approve anything that is in violation of the code, including this. So I don't know if you had a separate meeting with them.
My conversation was different.
Well, that's interesting news. I've had multiple conversations with them, and they've been consistent in that we can't approve something that violates the noise.
Well, I'm just to Mr. DeLassie's point. I understand that it's frustrating if you're getting conflicting information, but You need the approval from this board at this point in time. We have done our outreach, and I think, especially given that you've already done the research on how to mitigate the noise, if you can just take us through what sort of structure you might propose, or even find a place on the lot that doesn't require baffling. I think you could, this is a solvable problem. It just needs to be addressed. Now, if we could just look at the survey, Esperanza, maybe you would want to go through some of the suggestions that we made today at the pre-meeting to give Mr. DeLacy a little bit of a leg up on where we want to go with this.
Well, I still can present, I hope to leave no stone unturned, and I presented every option possible. So I have 2 generator locations, one 33 feet from the western property line and the other one 45 feet from the western property line.
Right.
The requirements for nighttime noise code, which are excessive. I mean, 50 decibels is
That's the code. That's the code. We don't have to challenge the code right now. That's the rule. Let's just go on.
Same as a regular rain. The acoustical enclosure required would be an 8-foot fence at 45 feet from the property line, or a 10-foot fence at 33 feet from the property line. In all our previous meetings, we looked at every generator location, and we said this was the most desirable. We came to that agreement.
Right.
So
right, I understand that, and I thought of that today when I was preparing for this meeting, because I know we did ask you to keep it on the opposite side of where the location that you placed it at was one that we had sort of asked you to research, but that was when we didn't know that it was not noise compliant. So now that we're dealing with the noise issue, we were thinking that there might be some other places for you to put it that might not require all this baffling, which would be, closer to the pool, or, more in the center of your property.
What?
This is the wrong survey.
Wrong survey? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
That was an important interruption.
Where is the location now, in the upper left-hand
That's
corner?
why I wanted to, it's similar.
On the corner of the road and the property.
Northwest.
Kind of, yeah.
Opposite the next buildable lot to the east, away from the agricultural reserve, away from the street view, the public view from Wainscott Hollow Road.
Right. Which we asked for, and you complied, which, we thank you for, so. But
Not sure that this one either is the correct one.
It looks like it.
It is dated November 29th of last year.
can we rotate it so it's in the right alignment, please? Thank you.
It shows the generator up in the north.
Yeah, it'd be in that location.
Right.
That's where it would be, yeah.
And that's where it was staked out in the photo too, right? Those were those.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Yeah, right there. So let's go back to the survey. And so where would 135 feet from the property line put it on the property for you?
I'm sorry, Kathy, that table is if there's no treatment. So that was presenting that to that neighbor at lot 5. We meet nighttime noise code with the generator location if there's no treatment on it whatsoever. But
right.
That's if the property line to the west wasn't deemed the source of a noise code violation, and if noise code was understood to be the nearest buildable lot to the east. So that was the only point of that table, was to say that at 133 feet with no treatment on the generator whatsoever, it complies to, 225 feet means that
it wouldn't be
generators
inside in the neighbor's property.
It's just in one corner of the property. It's not near the pool.
Okay, so it's not possible. It's not physically possible to attain.
Yeah, 135 feet is essentially the midpoint of the lot.
Okay, can we put the cursor about where that might be?
Well,
I just want to state, it's not our job here as the Architectural Review Board to figure out where to put this into comply. I haven't seen any options. I just want,
We need
I
to
have
look at them.
like,
everyone, Frank.
okay, do all these comply? Because I don't want to go through options if they don't
No,
comply.
only one complies.
Okay, that's the only one we should be looking at.
Yeah.
I agree, but I wanted this question answered because the no treatment option seemed
Because
possible.
I felt that the board with the architectural overlay district that we're in was going to be so,
Agricultural overlay district, yeah.
I'm sorry, was going to be so, find a wall so offensive that we'd somehow say, okay, we understand that under emergency situations, you shouldn't be subject to nighttime code. The same way the St. Peter's.
Yeah. Right, but we can't
St.
do
Peter's
that.
applicant wasn't.
Right, we can't, yeah.
Well,
we
no,
can't-
there's a
That's a
specific
whole
exception in the town code for cell towers and emergency generators.
Oh, I see.
Very different.
This is- does not
this
apply
is
to,
wandering way
this.
too far. Let's
Yeah.
clean this up.
So could you show us
Yeah,
the
why can't we
option that
just-
complies
the
both
one that
daytime and
works?
nighttime? And then I have a question.
Option one and option
Just so you know,
two.
according to the acoustic memo from Sound Sense, these are the two that would meet both daytime and
Okay,
night.
that's all we should be looking at.
And they have corresponding surveys that are stamped and dated, and they have corresponding sections that show the height of the wall.
Okay, can you show us that, please?
I will have to find them.
You just have to, it's all one PDF.
Do you, Louis, can you just help me here? Do you recognize, here, I have this sort of like date.
On my end, it was submitted as one PDF, so I don't know why it's broken up like this.
Okay. I'll try and find it. I mean, if you have it over there too.
Yeah, I apologize, Kathy. On my end, one PDF was submitted. It's all in order, and we could just scroll through it and go through the options. So
It's all right.
We may have it. I'm just trying to.
It just gets, it's
should be in
imperfect. The electronic system is imperfect.
Yeah, it's in here. I just gotta orient things. Spin it around. Okay, yeah, these are. Sorry, I just have to get the visual right.
Take your time, guys.
I know exactly what this is now.
That's one option.
just one switch, yeah. So this is the first option at 30.
I got it.
Oh, we don't have it up on the screen yet.
There you go.
At 33 feet from the western property line, a 10-foot acoustical enclosure is required to satisfy nighttime noise code at that western property line,
It's sunken 2 feet into grade.
with us sinking the generator 2 feet.
Okay, and
That's a rendering from the corner, the northwest corner. I think the next page will be a rendering head-on, north looking south.
oh, that's the 10.
What am I looking at here?
What is that, the
That big
fence?
thing, it looks like a drive-in
It's a
movie.
sound enclosure.
Required for this.
It's the
We have
acoustic
to meet
wall,
nighttime
the
noise.
acoustical wall.
So
Okay, let me just state, if the purpose of presenting that is to make us feel sorry for you, it's not working. This is not, the generator, this house is not a piece of critical infrastructure to the community where we have to say, we've got to figure out how to get a generator. So,
So when I met with the town attorneys, I was told that at this point, the generator, the right and that specific generator was proven by all the months of presentations that we've.
No, we said that we understood that why you wanted it. We never said that it was a critical piece of
It was
infrastructure.
never approved. Louis, that's just.
We said that we understood that
Never
you
approved it.
wanted it for the use to store the wine, and there was no objection to that. That's
We
permissible under
said
the.
we said it was too big. We said any
Under the
kind of
code.
structure that it would have is too big, and then we
Wait,
said,
it's higher than that.
can you find a different generator? You had already purchased the generator before you had approval for the generator. So now we're trying to deal with that. Let's just go on through this presentation, please.
I would advise the board that he is, the enclosure is a compromise.
This is impossible.
It's what?
It's a compromise.
Yes, I understand that.
Tiny little heads then, right?
Yeah, so this is 10 feet, and this hedge, I assume, is what, 4 feet?
Yes.
Okay.
So I know that there was, if I recall correctly, there was discussion about that this was the best location, closest to the transfer switch and that I think that there
Well,
were
the
sort of
electrical
practical.
service that comes in. So we have a transformer easement on every one of these lots in the subdevelopment. And for it to go in the backyard, we spoke about that. We spoke about the agricultural reserve that's there. Not aside from all the cabling that would have to get run. It's
Well, considering how much this whole property has been excavated and concreted, I'm not really too concerned about a little additional excavation, frankly. But what I wanted to ask you is, would there be the consideration, for instance, of placing this, since you already have a sunken tennis court, would that not be a consideration to place this 11-foot generator in the vicinity of that retaining wall and have it placed toward that region, and then it would be out of sight, out of mind? And you might not need all this 10-foot baffling.
So it would have tremendous cost for the copper cable that would run to it.
More than the $175,000 that is being spent on the enclosure?
No, the point of that letter was to say that we went through every option. And if the generator is...
Well, the question is, would the copper wire be more than $175,000?
I have to finish, David. I'm sorry. $175,000 was an outlandish proposal we got for an option to remake the enclosure that already is an expensive piece of equipment that has acoustical properties. So this 100 kilowatt generator has the same decibel reading as a 20 kilowatt generator. But we can't ask our client to pay $175,000 to remake the...
Okay, I was very confused by the submission, and that I thought that this construction was costing all of that.
That's the impression that I got.
That's the impression I think that...
I'm here to explain it. I presented as much information as possible because the incomplete letter said explore other options.
Okay.
So we presented all the Green Logic paperwork again. We did all those options in 2021, and we were told the only way to get something that's going to heat your house in a snowstorm is a house of this size is a generator. That you can't do battery backup or anything. It's just not.
I read the documentation.
Okay.
Did you explore the option with the copper wiring in the area that Esperanza mentioned, or?
To run copper all the way to the back of the house and then back to a transfer switch, we did not. It'd be
I'm just asking, like, legitimately, would that be more or less on the $175,000?
Is this our job to do this? I mean,
Well, at this point, I do feel a little bit of sympathy that we should try to give them something to go with, so they could.
I think given what we're looking at with this, I don't know what your impression is, and I don't think you or the property owner want to see this.
No one wants to build that.
And so, I mean, to Frank's point, it's like you're pushing us in what direction? I'm not quite sure what the point of this is then.
What's the solution?
I think the suggestion of putting it toward the tennis court is a very feasible one.
So it's likely, I mean, it's not going to change that wall, that enclosure. You're still going to be 40 feet to a property line.
I tell you what would help me get to a point of comfort with this generator issue is step one is a letter from the engineer, a mechanical engineer, someone stating, this is the amount from an engineer. It can't be some like tradesperson. It's got to be an engineer saying, like a minimum size generator to keep the house's critical infrastructure, basically to keep the house from falling apart, would convince the board perhaps that this is necessary. Where I'm looking at is that where do you draw the line? Where do you say a generator is excessive? Where we're having this long discussion about, and this phrase, keeping the house heated, there are different sizes of generators. There's ones that will maintain a basic temperature of the house to keep the window seals from falling apart. Okay. And then there's a generator that will allow you to have, the home entertainment system and everything working properly. There's a big difference for that. So I feel like you're coming to the board saying with this perceived hardship that the board is not seeing as a hardship.
Not meaning to do so at all.
So I think that's step one, is come with us with an engineer saying, you know, to maintain the critical infrastructure of this house, the minimum to maintain the house at 65 degrees or so, that you need a generator of 40 watts. Because I can pretty much guess that the engineer is going to come back with something a lot smaller than what you're proposing here. So that's step one, which is going to bring down probably the decibel level. So I kind of feel like we're just feeling around in the dark on this issue and saying, well, this won't work here, this won't work that. Just step one, come with an engineer's letter saying this is what we recommend is the minimum size of generator that will say, okay, well, all right. And then come to us with something that works. Because I feel like we're being given proposals that saying, listen, it doesn't work. Just give us something palatable. And it's our job to say we approve it, we disapprove it. But I don't know where this conversation has gone for the last half hour or so.
So Frank, the 20 kilowatt generator at St. Peter's is 69 decibels.
Again, this is a cell tower. It's not a residence.
I'm trying to relate it to a generator that the board's familiar with.
We're not familiar with that, by the way, because we don't approve that generator.
It's a 20 kilowatt generator.
Again,
at 69
we're not
decibels.
talking about that. We
Okay.
can't
Frank's
parallel
asking
that.
Louis, I'm going to ask you to, I know that this is a position that you and your client have, are taking about the noise code and that this is an irritant for you all.
Well, the smaller
This
generator isn't going to change 69 to 67. It's not going to change.
Okay, but a smaller generator might require less mitigation, might require
It would be
a
this
shorter
noise-
wall.
Exterior noise is so hard to deal with. I learned all this from SoundSense that to hit 50 decibels, I mean, that's like office.
But I'm sorry, if you have a smaller generator, you're not going to need a 10-foot wall.
I have our generator at 4 foot above grade, and I need a 10-foot wall. There's nothing to do with the size of the generator.
All right, then I don't know what else to say. I mean, I feel like we're stuck. I think Frank's suggestion was a good one. I don't have any other recommendations. I don't think a 10-foot wall or even an 8-foot wall, we never even got to see that rendering,
There's
is.
a wall there, but what I'm promising is
Did
that
we look at it? I thought we looked at the 10-foot and not the 8-foot.
We can look at them again, Kathy.
Well, let's just look at the 8-foot, because I didn't get to see that, but that's the 10-foot, is it not?
This is not a realistic rendering. These things look like Darth Vader. This is not.
Yeah, no, I get it, but this is the 8-foot wall?
In a drawing, but there's a rendering.
Okay, well, that's no help.
That's the 6 foot.
That's 6 feet.
Which would not.
The 8-foot wall. Okay.
8 foot.
All right, so my suggestion would be, we're required to follow the code. So we've got to, as irritating and unreasonable as you may feel it is, the 50 decibels at night. Let me finish, please. The 50 decibels at night is a requirement. If you can find a way to buddy it up with the tennis court that's already going to be recessed, like as not, you'll have some fencing or something around there. It might be a smoother fit. But I think that Frank's recommendation of trying to see if a smaller generator will do the trick would be a useful endeavor. Does anybody else have anything else about this? I mean, what else did we have to talk about? Was it only the generator?
Just the generator and then the light fixtures from the first part of the application.
Fixtures, and I think the pool house relocation, I don't believe anybody ever had any concern about that.
Issues with that. It went back and forth a little bit because we had setback issues with it.
Right. But ultimately there was.
it was voted on, and
Right, we got that done. Okay. Yeah, all right. So is there something more you want to talk about with the lighting, Esperanza, or have we?
No, we talked about it.
I think I said what I needed to say.
All right. And then if nobody else has any other comments, I think we'll
to say something, or?
I'm thinking about it, David. I'm just trying to talk with Louis.
Sure.
Do you want to do that, or what do you want to do?
I guess I just please want to say again that the smaller generators are relatively noisy, and nighttime noise code is going to require a fence of that stature. And the homeowner shouldn't have to bury the generator below grade where it could fail from a pump not working properly or not draining, or have to worry about propane explosion or bringing a diesel generator into the agricultural reserve. I'm also not sure that this generator at 100 kilowatts only supplies 400 of the 600 amps that we have service to this house. So
you're proposing a 100 kilowatt generator?
100 kilowatt generator that supplies 400 amps, not the 600 amp service that we have.
Yeah, okay, well, again, I think that,
Let's move on and close this.
yeah, I think we're back at the same
But
place.
again, I just want to frame this is like, this is not like bringing water supply to the house.
Right.
But is that the architectural review board's decision to say what's
No, what I think you're presenting it,
but you've
is
opened the
that-
door
is
to
that
it by.
You're presenting it to us as we have to solve this problem. And we're telling you everything that's been given to us is not an appropriate solution. And until it is, you can't get approval for it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
And if you can't figure it out, you're not going to get a generator, you know? And what exactly is that language for meeting the code? So
yeah.
Anyways, I would suggest maybe if this is something you can't get, like just consult like a mechanical engineer, consult a sound engineer.
They have done that. They met our request to meet with the.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time and money. I wasn't presenting that fence to say, we have to approve this fence. I was hoping today that the understanding would be that nighttime noise code isn't required because under emergency use.
Well, that was a misperception on your part, Mr. Delicia. Then we are not in a position to mitigate those kinds of things. And as always been explained, this is not an emergency facility like a cell tower is considered. So that interpretation of the code was inappropriate in this instance. Okay, I'd like to move on. So if there's nothing else here.
Eric is going to once.
Hi.
Hi, Eric. I didn't.
Hey, Kathy. How are you? Good evening, everybody. Eric Brown from Ackerman, Packman, Brown and Goldstein. At least that's what it was when I left the office a little while ago. I think would it make more sense to try and detach the problem, which appears to be the generator, from the other sort of less significant, the lighting can be obviously addressed and the other stuff. Does it make sense to deconnect those so that they can look at that in isolation?
Well, this was originally brought up and then it was pitched in a way that they needed the generator because the house was going to have a subterranean wine cellar that needed this specific generator so they were kind of inextricably linked and they couldn't be separated. So that's why we felt that if they needed the wine storage to have that certain temperature that required this generator, that we wanted to make it all one package.
Okay.
If I get your point, and it would, but I don't want to be in a position where we approve something and then we're kind of forcing our hand that we have this wine storage thing that needs a generator this size and we can't find a solution to it. So that if you have that's changed or something, I think the board would be receptive to that. But
okay.
It's just that they're so closely tied together that you need the one for the other.
Okay. And I'll just say for the record, as I said in my correspondence, I don't necessarily agree with the noise analysis, but this is not the place to discuss that. So, all right. So, Louis, we'll discuss trying to separate the two things?
Sure, of course. And my apologies for what we're saying about the noise analysis. We didn't really have that conversation. So that's what I was here for today, just to understand that the Architectural Review Board feels that that's what's required.
Okay, well, I was pretty sure that we were clear on that, but I'm sorry it wasn't, and I'm glad it is now. So with that, we'll just, I guess we'll send another follow-up letter and with our recommendations, and you can come back to us when you have another proposal.
Thanks, Kathy. I think just a little part of the frustration has been the length of time that we've been doing this.
I get
it. If we can turn it around, if we can turn it around, we'd appreciate some accommodation on your side to try and get us back in front so that we're not.
Eric, I'm willing to meet with you or work with you, whatever.
Great. Okay, that's fine. Let me talk with Louis, and thanks everybody.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just want to thank each of these members, Diane, Chip, and Frank, for your thorough analyses. This is such a hardworking board, and you guys do such a good job. I'm really grateful. Okay. Next up, issuance of certificates of occupancy, Ocean Dunes, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-190-02-16. Chip, this is yours.
Yes, this is an application in the Ocean Dunes Complex requesting a C of O for the combination of 2 units. We last reviewed this application on October 27th, 2022, concerning the replacement of windows and doors, enlarging a sliding glass door opening from 5 feet to 7 feet wide, and sealing off one of the 2 front doors. So the 2 units now, which are combined, have just 1 front door. The work has been completed, matching the existing facade, windows, doors, and finishes. I see no reason not to approve this application.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Chip?
No.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we instruct staff to tell the building department that this application is ready for a C of O.
Can we have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, passed and carried. Number 10, Kurt and Carrie Nelson, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-141-1-10.4. This is Diane's.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, this is this wonderful street off of Hens Creek Road where the planner set all the houses way, way back. And there's trees growing in everybody's yard, and it's very nice. And everybody has 8-foot fences in the rear of their property. And theirs complies exactly to our resolution. So I don't see any problem, and would like to make a motion that staff contact the building department that this is ready for a C of O.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Diane? Okay, we have a second to the motion, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passed and carried. Okay, we have one resolution I'm going to ask Vice Chair Leon to read because I don't have it with me. Which will be signed by those.
Yes, I have. It's a corrected resolution for James Frank. Tax map number 300-196-1-2.2.
Okay, man.
11 Town Line Road.
Okay. So we don't have to vote on that. It's just a resolution. We're adopting it. You folks have signed it. I have not, so I'm not there. And I think that's it for tonight. I want to wish Julie a happy vacation. She goes away tomorrow.
Bon voyage.
Free bird. And thank Eric for his tireless efforts and the whole planning department, LTV, and everybody else. Thanks everyone for being patient with this, you being away. I hope to see you soon. Okay.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
To adjourn. I was hoping someone would give me a
second.
Oh,
Second.
Thank you. All right. We're adjourned.
all right.
Okay.